the awards for the group stage. I've been looking forward to this show for a while, had it circled on my calendar, lads, out of all the shows we've done so far. So let's have a go at picking our combined starting 11, best 11 of the tournament so far from the group stage. Nick, I know you and I have been chatting about this, so do you want to kind of go through position by position? And Andy, we'll kind of get your take as well, because Nick and I were sharing notes a little bit just to try and figure out what's going on, because there are so many different ways you can go with this. But the goalkeeper situation, Nick, I mean, Wojciech Szczesny, is he the standout?
Yeah, that's who I had. The big penalty stop, 2 saves on the same penalty. I guess call that a rarity. I thought that was pretty darn exceptional, and they're not there without him. And I don't think there's an argument in any other direction.
Andy, you agree?
Yeah, I do. You have that kind of singular moment. Of course, I think it would have been airtight had Poland done a little bit more in the group stage, but to have that moment, something that nobody else had, probably separates them just a bit, because everybody else, no team made it through except for the U.S. with just 1 goal conceded. Am I right in thinking that? So there was a lot of goals scored.
I think there was one more, but yeah.
Okay.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And the US was only a penalty, right? So no goals conceded from open play. So Matt Turner and co, fair play. And that reflects who I've got in defense. I've gone, what have I gone for here formation-wise? Like a 4-3-1-2 for my team at least. But I've gone with Sergiño Dest at right back. I think he's been excellent for the US team, but also I don't really know, looking around the tournament, there hasn't really been a standout right back from other teams. I guess Hakimi for Morocco would probably be worth a shout. But Nick, who have you got?
I'm calling this a 3-4-3 because I couldn't think of a right back. So even though I have Jordi Alba, we'll call him a midfielder from Spain. My back 3 is Romain Saiss from Morocco, Kalidou Koulibaly from Senegal, and Josko Gvardiol from Croatia, who someone's going to pay like $100 million for.
Yeah, we thought he was going to go to Chelsea. Obviously, he might still do so, but his price tag just gone up probably about 20 or 30 million at least, right? And
20 years old.
Yeah, he's incredible. Composure. Obviously, the mask looks amazing as well. I think that scares the heck out of most forwards who come up against him. But yeah, I've gone for him as well. And Andy, tell me if this, I don't know if this is biased because we watch these teams a lot. I've gone for Harry Maguire and Tim Ream to make up my back 4. And Ream kind of playing as a left-sided centre-back / hybrid role with because I just think he deserved to be in there, and that's the only way I could shoehorn him in. But I didn't think I would be picking Harry Maguire to be in this team, but he's been pretty exceptional for England, if not their best player.
Yeah, Maguire was solid. Ream was solid as well. And I think you can make a case that while they probably did not do the most spectacular defending of anybody in the group stage, they were rocks back there for both of their respective sides. Tim Ream obviously filled a very specific role, what he can do on the ball for the U.S., and that has allowed them to be as good as they have done. And Harry Maguire, what is it about the England shirt? He struggles so mightily for Manchester United. He pulls on that white shirt of the 3 Lions, and suddenly, hey, Slabhead is back.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The songs about him are great as well. So I always enjoy going to England games and hearing those chants. Nick in midfield, I've gone for Casemiro, De Jong, and Bruno Fernandes. Who have you gone for?
Well, this is where I want to point out that I had my own self-imposed rule that I didn't ask you to go by, where I could only have 1 player per nation. I had to have 11 different nations represented, which is one of the reasons Otamendi didn't make my center back core, because I have Alexis McAllister. Scored a huge goal. I think continues to impress. And if you're a Premier League team that thinks maybe you could buy him off of Brighton, you're seeing him around quote unquote better players. And he's one of those guys who looks even better. So I had Alexis McAllister, Tyler Adams, and cheating a little bit because, he's a midfielder. But as we see with Manchester United, it's a lot of pressing. Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah. He's been excellent. I knew you'd get a Brighton player in there somehow.
Oh, that's absolutely happening.
Andy, any disagreements, agreement?
I like all those names there. I would also mention Rodrigo Bentancur, and that's complete Spurs bias aside as well. I thought he was brilliant for Uruguay, and to see him go off after just 34 minutes in the final game on Friday was really disappointing. Hopefully there's nothing there, but I think that probably had a little bit of an effect on that performance and whether they could have maybe gotten a third or a fourth goal there in the game. So I think he deserves a mention for sure.
And Jude Bellingham, I'm just going to say as well, he's been pretty decent. He didn't really show up against the US, but opening game was good. Game against Wales good. I think they kind of found the right position for him now, England. So I'm hoping he kicks on as well. Another great teenager coming through. Up top, I've gone for Messi, underneath Mbappe and Cody Gakpo. So I know Messi kind of will split opinion a little bit. Oh, he's just in there because of his name. But I think when the moments he kind of stood tall, even though he missed the penalty against Poland, I think he was pretty excellent in that game, getting on the ball and movement. And then, of course, against Mexico, which really was the big one for Argentina to win and get them going in the tournament, he delivered that moment of class in that game. So, Nick, who did you go for with your forwards?
First of all, yeah, I thought Messi was phenomenal. I left him out because he missed the penalty. And again, my rule. But led the group stage in expected goals, tied with Mbappe, and led it in expected goals on target. So this isn't just a guy who shoots. He's figured out when to do it. But I left him out in favor of the guy I thought was honestly the best player in the tournament, and that was Antoine Griezmann. He is looking reborn. Okay. He's been very well rested because of his contract status before Atletico Madrid bought it out. He was going only 45 minutes a game. So I have him, I have Gakpo, and then Richarlison, who is, first of all, that goal feels like that goal has a spot in the 11. It's 10 guys in Richarlison's goal, but I thought he's just been very good in a Brazil shirt. Another one who has been even better for country than club, and he hasn't been bad for club, as Andy can attest.
Definitely. Okay, let's go through some other awards here. Best player, I've gone for Kylian Mbappe. Anybody agree with that? Disagree with that?
I like it. I went with Griezmann, with Bruno Fernandes a close second.
Andy?
I would throw out a real dark horse name here, and not got the cachet or the notoriety, but Enner Valencia was a monster during the group stage for Ecuador. I mean, I would put him into a best 11 probably. Honestly, he was that good. He got 3 goals, and he was the constant threat for a team that came very, very close to pulling off something miraculous. So I think he deserves a mention in there. But yeah, it probably goes to Mbappe in the end just for his all-around contributions.
Best team so far. Which team has really been the best? Is it we changed our mind about it? I've gone with Brazil. Obviously, they lost to Cameroon. Much change, but I just think they're looking so dominant and just so calm and just not really bothered to be at the World Cup. They're just like, yeah, whatever. We do this all the time. This is nothing to us. So anybody else, Nick? I mean, there's obviously some European powerhouses flexing their muscles too.
I mean, I would probably tell you that in terms of the team that I think has the best chance of winning it and, lost a game that meant absolutely nothing, we both mentioned a same player or different players from the same team as a player of the tournament. That means that team's doing pretty well. So France is high up on my list. Their 4-1 win over Australia, looking a heck of a lot better after we saw what the Socceroos can do. And again, spare a thought for unbeaten Morocco, who in a pretty tricky group allowed 1 goal to the likes of Croatia, Belgium, and Canada.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. What about you, Andy? Best team so far?
I think it's France. Brazil, until we know if Neymar is back and at what level of Neymar we're going to get in the knockout rounds, I've had big questions about them since he's gone out a 1-0 victory over Switzerland and then they lose 1-0 to Cameroon on the final day. I know they rotated a lot, but I have some questions about whether they're going to be able to create chances. And I do not have that question about France. We know they're going to score goals. Can they defend? I think might be a little bit of a question once we get to the latter stages, but those two teams, I feel it feels right that they would meet in just that epic clash at this tournament.
What about the best game? Because we have a lot of contenders for this, but the best game in the tournament so far, I went for I wasn't expecting too much from this game. I went for Cameroon 3, Serbia 3. It was the early morning game. Yeah, it was kind of thinking I'll be a bit sleepy, and the game was, and then it just burst into life, and it had absolutely everything. And just swung back and forth. Great goals, great drama. That's the game I went for. But I could have been any of Ghana's games, I think, as well, because them and South Korea and Japan's comebacks, just crazy. But I'm going to go for Cameroon. against Serbia from a pure chaos perspective. Nick, which one are you going for?
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't help but look to the final day, and that's almost like cheating because of all the drama that's been built into it by the first 10 days of the tournament. So seeing that, I'm actually going to go back to day one. Well, I guess day one, yeah. Saudi Arabia, Argentina, for a team dominating, for Messi getting his goal, and Saudi Arabia, the pure joy on their faces when they won that game. I think Saudi Arabia is often, their players and their soccer team, football team, they're reduced to a political regime. And to see them as human beings, just knowing what they did, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they got like a national day of celebration.
Holiday.
Right? So that doesn't happen often after a win at a World Cup for any team that doesn't win the entire tournament. So that just shows how much that meant. Andy, what's your selection?
Pick a Japanese comeback. Spain, Germany, doesn't matter. Like, both of those comebacks, just truly incredible from a team that has long been a dark horse at a lot of tournaments. And I think a lot of people have expected a little bit more from in years past. And to see them finally really come good and to do it against who they did it as well, it feels like this was a real coming of age tournament for Japan.
Okay, let's move on to the breakout star. I did some of this. I went and listed quite a few players. My breakout star, I'm going to let you guys say yours first because I'm intrigued to see who you say.
Well, how are we defining breakout?
I think it's either really surprised us. It could be someone like Bruno Fernandes for me is in the mix because I didn't expect him to get back to his levels that he had when he first arrived at Man United. Or it could be someone like Cody Gakpo on this stage for the first time. Or just someone like Suter for Australia who's been an absolute man mountain in defence and you would never have expected that. So, yeah, there's different ways. But you can take it any way you want in terms of how you pick your breakout star. Who are you going for, Andy?
Mohamed Kudus, obviously a player who, for Ghana kind of ran the show in the middle of the field. He's at Ajax for his club ball right now. And it feels like that's a player who turned in 3 performances at this tournament that got himself a move in January. Somebody's going to come in, I think, and pay a nice little sum of money. 22-year-old, kind of all-action central midfield. We might see him pop up in the Premier League here in a few weeks. I think he had that kind of tournament, and with the pedigree of being at Ajax. Mohamed Kudus, 2022 World Cup breakout player to me.
Nick, who do you choose?
I had a bunch as well, like you. I didn't know. There are 2 names that I think were I couldn't tell if they were cheating. And I know Andy seemed to be hedging in the same way with Gakpo. And he's one of them for me. I think we pay so much attention to the transfer rumors that to us, but to the most of the rest of the world, he's a breakout player, I think. And the same thing could be said for Gvardiol. But the name I want to throw out there is from Cameroon, JC Castelletto as a center back, had a goal and an assist. You may even more. I don't. You always wonder if it's a guy who's going to catch the attentions of a bigger club, even though he's at a decent sized club and not. But he's a good player. He's a really good player and a big kid.
I'm glad you said that because that was on my list as well. And then Musiala, Musa, Adams, Bellingham, Ream we mentioned. Andy mentioned Kudus, and then Szczesny as well. So there's different levels. I think young players, old players, guys just kind of having a real breakout. So I like that award. Because it can go very, very different ways, I think, when you put it. Let's look at teams that really struggled to finish off on, and then maybe a favorite moment overall. Most disappointing team, I think Germany or Denmark would take that. It might be a bit harsh on Germany when you actually look at their expected goals and all those kind of stats. Then they just basically look like they couldn't finish, and that's what did them in the tournament and why they're out again at the group stage. And Denmark, I just thought were putrid. They were terrible. I don't know what happened. They are, again, another team that's a dark horse, number 10 ranked team in the world. Andy, who do you have?
Belgium, and not just because they didn't get out of the group, but even in the games that they got results, they looked so incredibly poor. You imagine a team that has Kevin De Bruyne in it playing that way, and we actually saw it at the World Cup on the biggest stage. So to me, it's got to be Belgium, even against Canada, who finished the group with 0 points and still don't have one ever in their history. Even by them, they were completely outclassed and outplayed.
Yeah, Belgium's a great shout. Nick?
I want to go with Belgium as well, but I do want to throw a shout out for someone who upped their game in the first game of the tournament and then just stopped doing much of anything. And Canada really let me down. That first game, I was so charged. And I think Joe thought I was going to say someone else there, but I was so charged up for them, for CONCACAF, for what they did against Belgium. And it turns out Belgium stinks, and Canada also, their Achilles heel was what we said their Achilles heel was going to be. And maybe that shouldn't make them disappointing, but didn't they make us think they were going to shock the world for about 60 to 90 minutes and then just didn't really show up?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Spain as well after that big 7-0 winner. It's almost like they scored all the goals for the tournament in that one game, and since then they haven't quite looked the same. So who knows? Most disappointing player, I'm going with a Belgian player, Kevin De Bruyne. Again, might be harsh. He, just looked sluggish and just never really got on the ball and just didn't, like when he's at Man City, it looks like he's going to, he's really upset if they just give away a cheap pass. And he just didn't seem to have that same desire, Andy, in this game. I can't explain it, but one of the best players in the world. I was looking forward to see him at the World Cup so much, and he's out, deservedly so, and I thought he was terrible.
Yeah. Have we considered Kevin De Bruyne as tired? I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot, a situation for a lot of players coming out of this tournament. And so maybe it turns into a bit of a blessing in disguise. I'll throw out not a player, but a name that was very disappointing, Tata Martino, and obviously has gone as Mexico head coach. And he never had a hold or a control or any kind of belief from that squad whatsoever from the start of this tournament. It was very evident when they took the field. And now there's a long, long road forward to a little bit of revolution, I think, down in Mexican soccer.
Absolutely. Nick, what about you?
A little bit of a mix between two strikers, but one I just thought was unlucky in Darwin Nunez. I just expected a lot from him. I thought it was going to be his coming out party. I really like what we've seen from Liverpool, even though the numbers aren't there. But I'm going to go for Jonathan David. Again, I think we expected a lot from Canada, and if they finished their chances or he was in a better position to get the job done, as someone who has been linked as right up in there with Pulisic as the CONCACAF player playing in Europe right now. And I hate doing this to Canada, but it really was disappointing to see them pretty much fall apart.
Okay, we've got 10 seconds each on this. Favorite moment. And I'm going to go and probably steal your guys's. The way that the USA played against England was actually one of my favorite moments from the group stage and just kind of proved that they belonged at the top table of teams in this world. So go ahead, guys. Nick, you go next.
I'm just going to cheat and say the Pulisic goal. That got me out of my seat. Second place, very close second, was the Messi goal to break through against Mexico.
Andy?
The final whistle, USA-Iran, confirmed the U.S.'s place. I mean, how can it be anything other than that? We waited 8 years for them to get back. They did it, and now they're in the last 16.
Definitely. And, hats off to so many great upsets. Japan, so Australia, the US, Morocco, so many teams in the last 16 that we didn't think would be in there. So great tournament so far. Lots of favorite moments. But from a US perspective, I'm happy we're talking about favorite moments from them being right up there in the tournament, because that means they're doing well. And hopefully this is just the start of their World Cup journey.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.